So with that, we will move to Myranda.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you all here. I am Miranda. I teach elementary education and I am an ELD specialist in Oregon. I'm also going to be taking you through the Brainstorm Ideas function. It's one of my favorites because I find that I often already have like really solid lessons just from teaching the same content year after year and really going through and refining that. So when I come in here, I'm not always looking for a full lesson. I'm just looking for little pieces that I can add to what I'm doing to improve things. So I'm going to focus on SEL today because there are a lot of quick, simple ways that you can integrate SEL into your day and even into the curriculum that you are teaching. So when I come into the Brainstorm Ideas section, I actually don't use any of the pre-created drop downs. They're amazing. I do recommend that you look through them, but I just like start chatting. So I think of anything that I would ask an actual colleague, and that is what I would put into the chat here. And I have found when you start with a really broad request, you'll get very broad responses, but you can definitely start there with just what are some ideas for incorporating SEL into my warm-ups? And that's a very broad request. I might get something more like language arts based or something that's just very general SEL, not really tied to a curriculum in any way. But it might give me some interesting ideas that I can build off of. So when I pop something very general into the chat like that, you will see that it's recommending things like a mood meter, mindfulness or breathing exercises, journaling prompts, or movement-based activities. And all of these are great things if I was thinking of like a class meeting or I just had some spare time, those little lulls in your day when they throw something in like a fire drill and now you have 3 minutes before it's time to leave and you just need something fun. But I actually want to relate this more to the content that I'm teaching as I kind of segue into my lesson. And that's just going to help my students kind of start to connect with one another, feel more comfortable, maybe reduce their anxiety and stress going into math, especially for those students that don't have super positive feelings about math. So I can get more specific and I can ask colleague to generate 5 warm-up ideas around SEL for a lesson on 3rd grade fractions. And I always like to give it a quantity to produce for me because I feel like 5 is pretty solid. If I ask for 5, I'm hoping that I'll really like 1 or 2 of the 5 that come back. And that doesn't mean that 3 or 4 of them are not good. It just means that hopefully 1 or 2 are exactly what I'm hoping to find out of what I get back. And then I've also refined it with the grade level. So it knows that we're looking for more like 3rd grade students. And I've also included that I'm teaching fractions. So the responses that I'm getting now are more aligned with what I'm teaching and the age of my students. So this is suggesting fraction feelings check-in, where they can draw a face on a sticky note to represent how they're feeling about learning fractions. Fraction gratitude, asking students to think of something they're grateful for that relates to fractions or math. I think this would be a good one to connect with sentence stems also. So if I was going to use that one, I would maybe ask it to generate some sentence stems that could go along with it. Fraction affirmations, just some positive self-talk around fractions. Fraction visualization, where they imagine themselves successfully working through a fraction problem. And then fraction cooperation. This is a new one. I haven't seen this pop up yet, so that's exciting. Organize them into groups and challenge them to come up with a creative way to demonstrate or explain a fraction concept using only nonverbal communication. That's actually really fun and something I would probably look more into. So the 2 that I like right now are fraction affirmations and fraction cooperation. So what I would do is from there, just kind of pick the one that I really like and then go back to the chat to further develop it. So I'm going to ask it now to give me some ideas of fraction affirmations. So I want it to give me, let's say 10 ideas, Min, if you can, please. So give 10 ideas for fraction affirmation statements for 3rd grade. And again, I like to put in the grade level. That way I'm not getting really complex vocabulary back that my students wouldn't understand or probably maybe be able to read. And then again, I'm asking for 10 ideas because in this, I'm looking for something I can actually use in my classroom. So now I've gone from something very broad to something I think I'll implement this. So I'll ask for 10, and my hope is that I would get maybe 5 or 6 that are perfect for what I'm looking for. So we'll see what we get out of here. Okay, so these are just really positive statements that my students could use. So things like, I am a fraction expert in the making. I can break whole numbers into equal parts. Comparing fractions is getting easier for me. Fractions are an important part of math. And number 9 is great too. I'm not afraid to make mistakes when learning fractions. So what I would do from here is pull the ones that I like the best, maybe print them out on Post-its, and students could take the Post-it that they connect with the best, and then they could partner up with somebody who picked maybe the same statement that they picked or a different statement, and they could talk about why they picked it, maybe why they didn't pick the other one, and really just start to build those connections and ease into what might be a very challenging lesson in a way that feels a little more comfortable and sets them up for success. So that is a way that you can use it to kind of spark some ideas just for very, very small specific sections of your lesson. This would take me maybe, 2-3 minutes to do in my classroom at most, but would really benefit the students. So that's one of the ways that I like to use brainstorming ideas.
Thanks so much, Miranda, for sharing how you use Colleague for SEL warm-ups. And it was great to see how you refined your lesson plan on fractions and got to those fraction affirmations. So I just want to extend another big thank you to Miranda and Corey for these demos.